So welcome everyone to today's BEwell Hub series. My name is Gary Marcus Judge. Our focus today is cybersecurity and hacking, a critical topic in today's tech-driven world. From phishing scams to data breaches, cybercrime is everywhere, and it's evolving faster than ever. Today, we're thrilled to have Samantha Caplan with us. Samantha is an expert in cybersecurity and hacking and executive coaching, with over 16 years of experience in HR and safety management. Drawing from her professional expertise and personal encounters with cybercrime, Samantha will reveal the psychology of hackers, the latest security threats, and practical tips to protect yourself in this ever-evolving digital age. So whether you're a tech wizard or someone who just wants to avoid the next scam, you're in the right place. So let's give a warm welcome to Samantha Caplan and dive in. So welcome, Samantha. Thank you for being here. So what is cybersecurity and what is hacking? Can you just give us, and how can I protect myself? Let's talk about me from this phenomenon.
Hi, Gary. Firstly, I just want to thank you for inviting me to be a guest on your show today. I'm very thrilled about the idea I can actually sort of apply some of my experiences, understanding and experience from my career as well, applied to my personal experiences that have taught me to be aware and sort of implement safety measures with regards to social platforms, utilizing the internet, giving out data or sensitive data of myself, identity information, contact information, and so it continues. I think to start off with, what would be important is let's consider awareness and prevention of cyber hacking and security breaches on the internet and technology devices that we utilize within our networks, both at home and within the business environment. Very, very important. I would say that I think people choose not to feel it as a potential danger for oneself because they don't think that behind another computer screen or the other side of a social network platform, someone might be watching them, recording them, even following their movements, when they drop their kids off at school, what their kids look like, and so it goes on. So basically, you can have people already watching you and spying on you and listening in on you from a distance that you're not even aware of. You don't know who these people are. Largely, these people are largely connected within groups when they work on the internet, especially with your greater cyber crimes that take place, like banking, hacking, government, institutional security breaches, things like that. It's normally a large group of people that's involved to gain access to that due to the complexity of the security measures that's been implemented in such complicated entity environments.
Yeah, but I mean, cybersecurity, Samantha, it sounds like it sounds like a big word. I mean, cybersecurity. Can I sort of am I responsible for the cybersecurity? I mean, can I protect myself from being hacked? This is the questions I ask, because it seems like maybe cybersecurity should be the responsibility of some authority or something, or not, or is it?
Also, mighty guru, yes, generally we think so. But I would say after my personal experiences and what took place in my life, I would say I learned that actually it's everyone's duty to ensure that they're informed, not just the employer that you work for and the IT professionals that they hire and employ to implement security measures on your devices at work, et cetera, et cetera. It's also up to the individual to stay informed and educated as to the latest advancements of cybersecurity breaches that occur. And that is occurring, in my opinion, because the vendors that create these cybersecurity resilient programs and software that they implement, these vendors these days tend to create these programs so fast they don't actually knowledge share with other vendors to actually make compliant programs that work in alignment with each other. So what I've recently realized, and for example, to try and avoid specifying names of companies and software that we're all very familiar with, I myself personally have IT issues every day with regards to certain programs I utilize just for office support and office documentation creation. That also hampers operating system updates. If there's an incorrect coding instituted in that operating update, it can literally create like a similar situation that took place recently. I forget the name of the actual incident, but it was a massive crowd that did an update on an operating system that affected Microsoft Windows and Office so badly that it created what we call the blue screen of death. So a lot of people actually lost entire computer systems as a result due to incorrect coding within this program update and this patch. That was just one instance, but that is not a malicious intended attack. That is an accidental error within profession, right? It happens. They fix it, so we move on. With regards to
the question there, Samantha, is I'm trying to understand, because I don't have these issues like you've had, and so my question is this, are we talking about like professional companies who have to be, you know, super cybersecurity aware, or is it just the plain Gary or Samantha that just works on the computer? I mean, what are we talking about here? Are we talking about just people who are just use the computer for work, or people who just use the computer for pleasure, or is it a multinational company that we're talking about? Who is the target here?
Actually, Gary, it's everybody. As per stats that were released recently within this year, they've actually predicted that everybody on this planet at some point within the next few years will be hacked. No matter on the security measures that you do have. On the other hand, from my own personal experiences, my own research, because after my experiences, I created educating myself on cybersecurity as a hobby. And in doing so, I went onto Google platform, security enhancements, making sure that Microsoft Office 365 was secure in alignment with my Gmails and everything else. Only to find out that even the two-step authentication programs have now been, or hackers have now enlightened themselves in a way to override that, so they can actually get access into your Gmails and things like that. They can even take access and control of your cell phone number to get access to everything else.
Tell us, what does it mean to be hacked?
Okay, so basically, if you say a person has hacked me, it means that they have intruded my territory as such, or my perimeters of security, securing my network devices and my infrastructure, often with the intent to cause damage or harm, or in a further worse case, if you take cybersecurity criminals, they're actually diagnosed, psychologically diagnosed as per theory, as the worst potential stalkers that you can find in the world. So if you look at the psychology theories of stalkers and harass, people that harass you and sociopaths, technically, they all follow through with the same tendency of behavioral patterns. And psychology theory has actually gone and listed this from a severity level of 1 to 4, with 1 being the least severe and 4 being the most severe and dangerous. And your cyber hackers are listed at number 4. Your stalkers are listed at number 3. My experiences involved the combination of the two, along with a hell of a lot of people involved targeting me.
So when we talk about being hacked, so being hacked means someone's cloned your credit card, someone has given your telephone number to someone who's going to call you from Romania or from Saudi Arabia. Is this all hacking or not? Because that's the stuff that happens to me. Like, I mean, I get phone calls and I think, how did that person get my telephone number? And if, you know, it's from Romania or it's from, I don't know, some far-flung country, and I just wonder, is that being hacked or not?
It is actually a consideration aspect of being hacked or having your cybersecurity breached, which actually is a criminal offense, because without the person's permission, you have no right to enter into their infrastructure or their security premises without your permission.
Right.
On top of that, it also includes identity fraud, identity theft, utilizing your personal details to try and gain access to your financial accounts, even forwarding wills of deceased individuals to try and get money out of, which I've had personal experiences of that done to me too, with past family members that have passed on. Fortunately, the people involved did not do their research properly and did not realize my dad had passed on already 5 years prior. So they kind of breached themselves in the process.
Right.
But anyway, to make it even worse on top of that, so other than identity theft or trying to what they call catfish. So on Facebook, there's a thing called catfishing, where a person will go onto Facebook, create a profile that's an exact mimic of yourself, with your own same Facebook profile picture. They will then look into your profile, see all your friends, and send a connection request to all your friends, and then send them malicious software or a message or something that actually allows them to take over complete access and control of your Facebook, which then they tend to go and use for porn or to misrepresent yourself, or just create problems and drama.
And so what should someone? It's not happened to me because I'm not really a social media. I mean, apart from LinkedIn, the other platforms I don't really spend much time on. But Well, should that happen to me? Like, I mean, I've got a Facebook page. I don't use it very much, but should someone do something like that, what do I do?
The best thing to do firstly is, I would say, keep regular checks on Facebook. So do a regular search for yourself, firstly. Okay, I did that after I got hacked on Facebook. That was the initial attempt to get into my systems. From there, then they got into my network devices directly, and they couldn't actually do it externally via Bluetooth connection to load malicious software. So they actually used social engineering techniques to enter my flat, to actually override and get remote access control to my router to then get access to my device.
What is that social engineering, Samantha? You say that very nonchalant, like very easily, but I think a lot of people, maybe our listeners, don't even know what is social engineering. What is that?
Social engineering is technically, as it says, so it's a human being in physical form that cannot gain access externally or remotely to your devices or your network system. And they're so badly wanting to gain access that they then use some story, or they dress up as a, I don't know, IT network provider, claiming that they're coming to check your wiring infrastructure for your fiber into your flat, come into your flat, go to your router, and then maybe load malicious software via a flash disk that they place into the back of the router, which opens up back doors that you can never close again. Now that's social engineering. Then they leave your place and then they gain access from there. What happened with me is I actually gained access. I had deactivated various things like your WPS connection button on your router, where you push to connect whatever nearby device directly to your router network. I deactivated that, updated my passwords, taken off my network broadcasting so they could not see my network to try and brute force my passwords to gain access, etc. Loaded very high-tech virus and malicious software programs onto my PC and all my devices to ensure that nothing was going on or nothing funny was happening. They overrode all of that. They gained access to my router. They depleted and stole all my data. Had a good laugh about it too, because it was my neighbors, so I tended to overhear all their conversations and comments, kicked them off one by one, blacklisted them, etc. They still got past that. Eventually, my router was bugged, my devices nearly blew up, and that was as a result because they realized I was actually investigating them, had actually identified who they were, and had evidence on them. So they then tried to blow up my...
Were these people local people? Were they sort of international? Who are these people?
Local South African citizens that were neighbors right upstairs from me in 3 flats above me.
What you're saying, Samantha, is scary. I haven't come across this, and I live in Italy. And so you're telling me something that's really not on my doorstep. So are we talking about something that's local? Is it just national, South Africa? Because I know you're from South Africa. Or is it something that you see is a trend that's increasing around the world? Do you have any information on that?
Yes, I actually have stats, facts, and figures. My partner's actually in IT. He's a support engineer and backup and recovery engineer as well. So he deals in cybersecurity and cyber resilience and data integrity and data recovery solutions for a very high top tier company. So their security infrastructure and the IT infrastructures and backup structures are very, very complicated and integrated to enhance maximal security within the environment, being a financial institution. But then coming back to the personal individual, this is happening to everybody worldwide. In fact, what I can tell you is hackers in generally, what a start-off hacker would do is send a spam email out to as many emails as they can catch off the internet or wherever, platforms, Facebook, you name it. Send out a phishing email, which I get a lot of, like saying, for example, my website domain needs a renewal urgently, otherwise they're going to stop it, etc., etc. Meanwhile, it was registered a year ago, and I know the registrations are valid for like 3 years. So if you actually hover your mouse over the little button where it says click here to pay, you'll see a different website address that it actually leads you to. And that is one way you can actually see, instead of clicking on an email link that's sent you from someone you actually don't know and be caught into a situation where you're redirected to a fraudulent or mimicked website that looks, say, for example, exactly like Amazon. And then you load your details or your username and password in that, it's actually belonging to the hackers. And it's normally what they call a www.tinyurl.com/whatever, which is like a very cheap mimic static type of website you can create and set up that actually gathers all that data from all the people that actually click on that phishing link. And then that person knows and can link, where did that website take you that you're a user of? Then now they use login details and passwords. You won't even know that they have such access to it. For example, other hackers also, what they tend to do, like via free email accounts on the net, specifically Yahoo, Gmail, those Hotmail accounts, is largely involved in being hacked frequently. The reason being because Google, for example, has actually gone and associated one's cell phone number with every single email address you open. So it all ties back to you, even your YouTube channel, your PayPal accounts, everything. So if they gain access just to your Gmail, they can basically gain access to your YouTube, your PayPal, your website. They can take over access of your customers. They can then access your network or your network connections and fraud them. So in a case where, say, you picked up that you have been hacked or you have accidentally clicked on a phishing site or something to that effect, you actually need to inform all your network connections on that platform or linked with that platform, email, Facebook, whatever the case may be. Inform that you have been hacked, notify them that potentially you've had your identity frauded and thefted, that perhaps it's been duplicated on Facebook. They must make sure they connect with the right person, not the incorrect profile. Also to assist them in safety.
That's a lot of information. That's a lot of stuff there. I mean, looking at a layman, a person who's not in the topic like you are directly, you know everything, all of this. A lot of people, like I'm talking about I'm just giving you the background of Italy and the people I know. Okay, we might be hacked. There might be an email that comes along every so often, says, oh, you have to renew this, click on this, and I don't do anything. But then I've got a thought in the back of my mind saying, I should do that, because if I don't do that, they're going to fine me. And so if I go over the deadline, then I'm going to have to pay double or whatever. So shall I click? And it's happened to me in the past, but I was lucky enough to, I contacted someone who said, don't do anything.
Absolutely.
Don't do anything. But unless you know someone who's actually going to give that information, it's very tempting to actually click on that button because you think you're doing the right thing. But as you said, it could be taking you into some sort of fake page where they're going to actually clone all your information. So,
absolutely.
So what do we do? Who do we trust? Who do we call? Is there a cybersecurity Superman that we call and they can help? What do we do?
So what I would say is, firstly, do regular research as a hobby. Check YouTube videos on what is the latest hacking techniques. What is phishing emails? How do they embed links that are incorrectly directed links into email links or hyperlinks or pictures even that are sent in emails that you might click on that already may even... So what can happen is you can create an MPEG video, install malicious software or virus or Trojan horse in there, email it to somebody, they open it and it's already executed and installing on your system. Right. That already opens up massive doorways to security breaches alone. So I'd say, number one rule of thumb, if you receive an email, if it says, hi, I'm from Facebook, someone tried to hack your account, please click here immediately to make sure you enhance your security. Do not click on the link, rather go onto Internet Explorer and directly type in the actual address of the correct website to know that you're on the correct website. Okay. In fact, recently I had someone send me a WhatsApp covering or mocking, mimicking Facebook, should I say, with a Facebook emblem. Now, Facebook, when your account has been hacked, in order to recover your account, they send you a WhatsApp one-time PIN code via WhatsApp. Now, the hackers have now recently got clever on Facebook saying your account's been hacked, here's a link, and they send you a one-time password via that WhatsApp message. Everything looks legit. Please click here, and it takes you to a false Facebook page where you log in your actual credentials, nothing works, and you're like, huh? So this actually caught me. I didn't click on the link. I thought it was legit because I've never been through that exactly. I never expected anything like that after all my experience, knowledge, and research. Yeah. Fortunately, I was smart enough to actually go onto the internet because I like to actually go onto Facebook, not on my phone, but via my PC. So fortunately, it's just one of my little habitual routines that saves me. Typed in the Facebook site correctly, logged in, and there was no problems.
Right.
So that is where, so there's that deterrence and confusion that comes in number one. And it's always like an urgent email. There'll normally always be spelling errors in it. The language will not be formatted correctly. It won't be spoken very well. Something won't tie up with a company. Like if it's a mock company of one of your suppliers, say your website hosting company. My current website hosting company is being mimicked to have phishing attacks that they've spammed everybody on my web hosting company site or that web domain. And all the emails I get and receive come to me, and I hover my mouse over the button that says click here for the link. But I find it very interesting to see where the links actually take you and not to the right place. So that is one thing. Another thing that's quite important to understand is you might get an email that's even closer linked and not a phishing email where it's sort of so obvious when you hover over the link that it's not the direct link to take you to the site. You'll get an email saying, please urgently log into your FNB site. There's been an attempted security breach on your account. And they'll create a website that's a www.home.fnb.co.za. Now, that home part is a prior subdivision of a different website domain. But it's so closely matched to an fnb.co.za domain that people fall for it. The next thing, all your money's gone. So that is another area of concern.
So listen to you, Samantha. You're such an expert on this. You could be a hacker.
Oh, no, I got a lot more to learn, hey, because you don't play with these people.
I'm just saying.
So I've learned one or two things just to sort of go, ha, back at you. Nothing criminal. I don't do criminal acts.
You're giving us a lot of information, especially me, who's just very unaware of all of this. I mean, yeah, I've been hacked. I've seen something's happened, or someone's cloned the card, and we blocked the credit card, and that's it. I mean, nothing major. But what you're saying is really major. So tell us a little bit about this. Was it the man in the middle? What is that?
Yeah, man in the middle attack. So what happens is, firstly, in order to get in, a malicious type of Trojan software needs to place on your devices or your network. My security at the time was so highly put that my hackers couldn't actually get into my system externally, although they tried Bluetooth installations of malicious software like 5 meters away from me, outside the walls of my flat. Fortunately, I never fell for that. That never worked. They then used social engineering tactics to get in to my flat in order to open doors on my router and unlock security features I'd set and optimized in place when I wasn't at home, so I wasn't aware of it.
Yeah.
And later on, it progressed over about a month to a month and a half, and later on I realized my messages were taking longer to come through. If I sent an email, it would be delayed. So basically what happens, a man in the middle attack, is when a hacker comes in, gets access, creates themselves as a man in the middle administrator. So any information, data platforms, anything you connect to goes through their system before you actually connect to anywhere else. So they listen in on all your conversations, your emails, your WhatsApp. They can tap your phone. They can follow your GPRS location. They can actually load malicious software onto your car. That can cause your car to have an accident or drive into a wall, because we now have self-driving cars.
That is scary. That is scary.
Extremely scary. And the problem with this currently is that because technological advancement and IT advancement is growing at such an insanely fast rate, us human beings as individuals and businesses cannot keep up with the daily needs of research and development and understanding the new ways these guys are feathering out to get into these complicated high security setup systems. And it's happening. It's happening to major banks.
So what would you say now with the electric, the Tesla, the electric cars, or everything's becoming more and more robotic. Everything is becoming more and more tech driven. Are we? I mean, should we be going that direction? Even the security in the house now is all with this. What's it called? There's a system anyway that closes all the windows, puts down the shutter.
Or like one button access control on your cell phone.
Turns on the oven,
then your cell phone gets stolen and they've got direct access to steal your entire household, gain access to everywhere and your documents and your bank documents inside your house, and then rape everything.
Exactly.
That is really where it's heading.
So on one side, we're trying to make it easy, push of a button, one click, and you've got everything sorted. And on the other hand, we're actually giving access to people who can actually, with one click, get into where we are. So
absolutely.
So what is that telling us? What would you say to someone who's asking a question? Should I do this or should I do that? What would you say to them?
Honestly, from my experiences and being a South African, dealing with our current economic status, our social problems, and our criminal stats, and at the risk and the height of security problems or harm to oneself, I would personally stay as much away as automation and technology. I would never buy a Tesla car, because after my experiences with my car actually being damaged as a result of the hackers attempting to load malicious software on my car, fortunately my car computer chip was not actually advanced enough to actually take this malicious software. So fortunately I didn't do any harm except blow up my radio and make it go absolutely crazy for 3 months, that I couldn't have any access or control over it. But in other things as well, like just if you take regulatory compliance and keeping supporting documentation for a business to prove your financial status of your company and your income tax that is payable to the receiver in your country. If a hacker comes along and ransomwares all your documentation and your accounting system is botched and everything's botched, how are you going to actually submit your income tax returns legitimately and accurately at the end of the financial tax year if you've lost all your documentation? Then they come and audit you and they give you heavy fines and penalties because you have no documentation in place or supporting documentation to follow regulatory compliance, to prove your current financial status, to prove that you haven't frauded tax and you haven't tried to evade tax and you've actually tried to comply correctly. And a hacker can cause not only identity theft, damage your infrastructure, they can cost you future repercussions to massive extents. In SA, recently I heard of a situation where a business owner of a business, he's been running his business for about 10 or 15 years, making money, just managed to pay off his bond in full. And literally, as he was standing in the line at a restaurant to enter, someone came and mugged him, cloned his card by just following the guy's cell phone over the card to get the details. Within 1 hour, I pulled out all the money in his bank account that he had to reopen a bond just to pay salaries for his company.
Wow. Wow.
Now,
we in one way, we're being pushed to digitalize everything, even here in Italy now, even the ID card, everything is being digitalized. So when you show a card, it's not accepted. Now it has to be put on an app and you have to show the app. And so in one way, we're being pushed to do all of that. And on the other hand, you've got all these hackers just waiting for us to digitalize, then they can just steal all our identity. So how do we protect ourselves here? I mean, this is just insane.
Look, I think the most important, I recently worked for a company in my country last year that was involved in anti-banking and corruption fraud involving hacking, cybersecurity breaches, obtaining even damaged devices like cell phones used in criminal acts, things like that. Our police services are trying with what we call the Hawks, which is a higher sub-governmental division on your higher end, more intelligent crime that takes place in like cybersecurity crime. So I was working with them and we were actually implementing a program to train up the SAPs within the Hawks to actually understand how to pull out the data off these damaged devices to actually trace and track and gather evidence to acquit and criminalize criminals that had been caught within cyber stalking, card skimming, kidnapping. Kidnapping is now a big thing in SA. The average person that doesn't make much money gets kidnapped and held for ransom because these guys go and stalk you and watch you on the internet and then see what time do they drop off their kids at school.
When you say kidnapping, Samantha, you mean physically kidnapped and held as a hostage or for ransom?
For ransom, yeah.
Wow.
And you know, it was initially up until 2 years ago, only victims that had high income jobs and a lot of money.
Yeah.
Now, in the last 2 to 3 years, most of the crimes that this company I was working for is actually investigating is the average layman individual that's been kidnapped and held for ransom or held at gunpoint, taken to the ATM and said, pull out all your money right now, I'm going to shoot you. So on top of that, like things like your facial recognition software to gain access to like your banking apps is actually only 20% effective. So I would never actually load that and set it up and use it. Not to mention the fact if someone comes along and puts on a fake mask, that's perfectly exactly to mimic my facial features with the right stage makeup and mask covers and whatever. You could gain access to that person's banking app or whatever on their phone without them even knowing. So I would say the best way to keep oneself safe, secure, up to date is you need to make this a hobby. You need to make it a regular reading update session. Subscribe to various websites that like are IT guru websites that release information on warnings on the latest scams and hacking techniques. What two-step authentication software is not as good as it used to be. And unfortunately, I have to drop the name on this one because there's not many two-step factor authentication programs out there that are very efficient right now. But the one that is actually, Google has actually confirmed is their Google Authenticator app has been hacked by hackers. And the person who owns a Gmail account does not get the confirmation of anything. So now they've actually said, eliminate Google Authenticator and use Microsoft Authenticator safer. Until when? How much longer?
Well,
So,
it's a Microsoft Authenticator.
yes, Microsoft Authenticator. There are other authenticators out there as well. They're largely linked with sort of your cybersecurity resilience and data recovery programs that are used in high-end financial companies. They have a very, very complicated two-factor authentication system plus multiple access login systems just to gain access to the actual platform you need to get into.
As we're talking here, and someone's watching our video, and maybe they might have some questions, or they might want to go a little bit deeper. So, can someone reach out to you through LinkedIn or something if someone has any questions, or they want a consultancy or something like that? Can people reach out to you?
Yes, absolutely. In fact, my partner and I are currently now at this point, and we're both sort of in a position in our lives where we both kind of have to reinvent ourselves and start again, you know, to adapt and evolve and stay, you know, alive in this current world and the changes that are happening.
Well, I mean, everything that you're telling me is like, I'm sure people are going to be watching this video and they're going to have questions. And we're talking now, and things are evolving and maybe getting worse, or I hope getting better, but they could be getting worse. And so, anyway, if anyone's watching this, reach out to Samantha Caplan. You'll find her on LinkedIn, and I'm sure whether it's a consultancy, whether it's some sort of tips or whatever, she can help you. Let's go into another question. When I'm traveling, I travel quite often. I'm traveling. I go to London. I don't know. I travel around, and when I get to airports or I'm in a hotel, I'm always looking for the Wi-Fi. And so as you're looking for these public Wi-Fis, you have to register. You have to give your data, and then they give you like an hour or 2 hours or whatever of Wi-Fi. How do you see that? Is that something that's okay? Because everyone's doing it. You're at the airport and you've got a couple of hours to kill, and you just go on to the local Wi-Fi because your telephone doesn't work in that foreign country. How do you see that? Is that something that's
honestly okay? After my experiences and what I've experienced and all the hassles, damage, and drama I had to fix, and how long it took me and what it caused me in my life, and all my research I then followed through with, public Wi-Fis are no longer safe. The hackers know too much to gain access, open doorways. They can listen into conversations. They attach what they call a parrot device or a pineapple device or a Raspberry Pi device behind the router to gain access anyone's computer, data files, anything on that network, even if it's a guest network. The other thing is, if you dump or connect to a public network, do not say yes to advertise your device on that network at all, because that broadcasts that you are a device on that network. And if someone has already access or to install malicious software or some way to execute things from remote access control directly onto your device via that router, they have access to do so. And the security features set on that guest network are never up to perfect scratch or standard. So the thing is that normally a router for a public Wi-Fi will be put in a general public place, maybe in a back office or something. You could even have an employee that works there that goes, when the manager's not looking, attaches a pineapple device or Raspberry device behind the router, and everybody that connects are already gaining access to all the important data files, financial information, you name it, off anyone's device that's on that router. Let alone they have access to install malicious software, Trojan horses, ransomware, you name it.
So when you're traveling, you'd say it's not a good idea to connect up to the public Wi-Fi?
No, I'd say the best next alternative is to carry around your own dongle with you. Okay. Use your own mobile hotspot that's protected and password protected and safe, or otherwise carry around a very mobile router. After my incidences and experiences and also within public network Wi-Fis, but nothing really happened to me on a public network. But after understanding and researching all of this, I realized I'm not taking the chance again. I carry around my own mobile router with me wherever I go. I've got two routers. We've got fiber at home, and I've got a Wi-Fi router that I carry around with me, and I refuse to use any device to attach to any public network for any reason.
Let me ask you another question. I mean, I received quite a lot of phone calls, unknown numbers. People they've got hold of my number from somewhere, obviously, for I don't know, and I get phone calls. Would you say to someone listening to this conversation, when that unknown number comes through, to answer it or just to leave it? How should someone deal with that unknown number from, I don't know, I keep saying Romania, but it could be Poland, it could be South Africa.
Anywhere, Nigeria, Bulgaria, hackers are everywhere. SA, India, China. I mean, I've identified where my guys are VPNing into my Gmail systems after doing research. But that's a two-way answer for you there.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you just repeat that, and then I'll tell you why it's a two-way answer.
The question was, Samantha, is I personally receive phone calls from
Yes.
unknown numbers from around the world. There could be a call from Nigeria, or could be a call from Romania or Poland, or I don't know, wherever. What's your advice to people who get those kind of phone calls? To answer that, don't answer it. How do we deal with that?
Gary, generally, I'd say to you, firstly, I would answer the call. I don't think it's a massive issue, especially if it's come on a normal telecommunications network, not like WhatsApp or something like, or Telegram even. Yeah. Telegram is hackable, WhatsApp is hackable. So if a person calls you on WhatsApp or even sends you a message, all malicious software that you haven't even clicked on can cause you drama and trouble and take out your WhatsApp. Also allow tapping into your WhatsApp number so that people can listen in. SMSs are safer. In essence, I would say telephone calls are pretty safe. However, then you need to also consider if you answer that phone number of someone you don't know and they're trying to mimic maybe a debtor that hasn't been paid, that they've done homework into your research, that is a supplier of yours, and they say, you behind on payments, you need to make urgent payments. Please tell me what is the latest airtime amount you loaded on your phone, and what is your cell number? I had an MTN scam attempted on me via phone call one day about 4 years ago. And this guy pretended to put me on hold and hand me over to the manager with no music in the background, asking me, is this your cell phone number? We picked up someone attempting to hack your cell phone number. Please tell me how much airtime you've loaded on your cell phone. Roundabout when was it? And then as soon as I put down the phone, I thought, this is very strange because I've never experienced that before. And I've never understood how they gain access or tap or hack from that perspective. And I called MTN itself and I said, listen, this is what's happened to me. Is this correct? Is it true? Is it legit? They said to me, we will never call you if there's ever been an attempted security breach on your number or ask you any information like how much data did you load? When did you load it? To confirm things like that, because then they can actually utilize that as answering questions to gain access to your number. I don't know exactly how they do it or which platforms they use to do it on, but I know they use that to scam people's numbers with an essay. I think that's probably a bit of backyard mechanics, hacking and scamming compared to other ways and methods out there that currently exist. But it's very real.
So what happens when someone's been hacked or someone's suffered cybersecurity breach, a breach of so how do we feel? What are the emotions that you went through when that happened? One, and two, who do we reach out to when that's happened to us? Do we go to the local police, or is there some sort of authority that we reach out to, or do we just shut down everything?
Okay, so relevant to my experiences, it was so extreme that for about 6 weeks, I actually never left my bed due to the emotional and psychological damage it caused me. I was also unemployed, couldn't gain access to apply for jobs. No one responded to me. I had no access to money, and I realized funny stuff was going on. So I didn't want to access my bank either. So I didn't have access to money until I'd realized or clicked what the hell was going on. So I could actually go into the bank, direct people, and get things right. Anyway, it turned out I had to eventually wipe all my devices back to original factory settings, hoping that no damage had actually been caused to the technical specs of the device, reset everything from scratch, not even from my Google backups and databases, and actually reload all new apps and everything from the original sites specifically. Yeah.
So you would say you have to do a reset, basically.
Sorry, Gary, can you give me 1 second? Sean, can you please calm down? I'm on a call. Excuse me about that.
So if someone were to be hacked, you just say, shut it down and reset.
Yeah, completely. Start from scratch, redo all your passwords, username, logins, you name it. Update all your security settings, reinstall all your programs, wipe your devices completely clean and start from scratch.
Okay.
Because you actually don't know how many files, folders, programs, software settings, or anything have actually been affected and manipulated.
Right.
So you may actually overlook stopping processes that have been implemented to breach your security settings and override them as well.
So what do you see the new trends? Where are people getting hacked now? What do you see? Where are these hackers concentrated on? What are they concentrated on now?
I'd say currently right now, a large amount of hacking groups have hacked government institutions that hold personal information, as well as banking information, understanding what are government institutions doing with money because of the current situation with COVID and what it's done with the world. And now it's resulting in individuals trying to do as many successful hit rates on things like phishing scams, spamming, skimming cards, things like that. So I'd say it's more the average individual, a large additional factors that play to that, I'd say, to push the people in that direction is the fact of limited jobs. We have a high unemployment rate in SA, for example. Our salaries are very low in comparison to what they should be. The cost of living is extremely high. So the people that are struggling, that are smart and don't have values and morals or a guilty conscience, go out and start skimming, hacking, and stealing.
Well,
And
I
that's
think
what it's come to.
you could be one of the cybersecurity crusaders, Samantha, helping people. So, I mean, I'm just telling people who are listening to this, please reach out to Samantha if you've got into this kind of situation and you need some help or whatever. I'm sure you can organize some sort of a consultancy call or something like that. And why not? I think that's what we do need sometimes. Something happen. Who do we reach? I asked you the question before. Who do I reach out to? Do I go to the local police and say I've been hacked? And if I do, are they able to help me or not?
On that note, just to confirm with you, so our police in our country are very uneducated and really not up to scratch with the current situations of hacking and security breaches currently in the country. They don't understand anything. Right. However, the FBI is closely linked with Interpol, and they actually oversee all cyber crimes, right. Because largely linked with terrorism as well as human trafficking and right. Other illegal activities that occur in the world. So
when you talk about illegal activities, that takes me just to that question on the dark web.
Yes.
People talk about that. I mean, what is that? I mean, is that something that really exists? Is that like sort of transactions that are just undercover that the government's not able to legitimize, or what is that dark?
So the dark web is like what we would call the internet, like Google, going on to google.com. Right. It's a completely different sort of internet protocol system or infrastructure, if you can call it, that is not linked with our normal internet as we know it. Right. It's a separate system where you've got a lot of malicious sites, a lot of scrupulous individuals on there performing illegal activities, as well as people that perhaps can secure themselves on those sites. Because if you go onto the dark web or use Tor or Onion, which is the browsers they use to get onto the dark web, if you do not cover and protect yourself or put on a VPN, you can get other people actually stalking and harassing you from the dark web. So it is a very dangerous place to play if you don't know what you're doing firstly and secure yourself. Secondly, on that, the dark web largely covers unregulated illegal activities, anything from human trafficking to stalking to videos, murdering, raping, you name it, scamming, selling identity fraud, selling personal sensitive data on the internet, banking account information. In fact, I've even seen people using Telegram linking to dark websites to say, I'm selling off 13,000 USD in credit that I skimmed off someone's card. Here's a little video of proof that I've cloned the card and it's ready for sale. So yeah, welcome to our lovely new world where we have to be extremely informed and careful.
We hear about that, but being a little bit more mature, I think there are a lot of young people who are like, sort of intrigued by this, and they're also attracted by this dangerous side to the dark web. They think, what is this? I mean, so if you had to give some advice to someone who's young and they're looking at this and they're trying to understand what it, would you say that they would even approach that, or just to stay far away from that?
Personally, if I had children, I don't have kids, I would definitely monitor their cell phone usage, the websites they go to, and perhaps actually limit them to safeguard them. Right. Firstly. Secondly, I would inform them about utilizing Facebook, and you don't just go and post everything and anything about yourself, where you are. I'm shopping at Canal Walk now at 12 o'clock into Woolworths front entrance. Because if someone's really following you and tracking you, the next thing, they know how to kidnap you. They know exactly where you are. So I would say, firstly, educating the young generation, definitely, because they're not aware of these types of things. However, on the other hand, the younger generation is a largely and more fast or more speedily educated on technology and internet platforms and social media. So on the other hand, they're not so stupid. They pick up very quickly. However, I fear to say that if us adults at an older generation or older age as parents do not inform our younger children of the potential risks of putting everything about yourself on social media and platforms, they're putting themselves at risk for danger and harm. And they need to be informed about that. I think also what would be a very good thing to do globally with the current rate at which IT is advancing, as well as security breaches and hacking potential risks that have now arisen from the advancement speed at which we're dealing with IT and stuff. I would say I'd say globally, universally, government institutions countrywide, I would say, or in every country, need to devise or identify a government institution or semi-private institution that can educate the public, join forces with the rest of the world to share knowledge of hacking incidences, research, root cause analysis of that, vendor programs that potentially are not meeting up to their marketed specs, all those kind of aspects that all relate and tie into enhancing cybersecurity and eliminating security breaches.
Is that happening in South Africa? I mean, are there programs? Is there some sort of education, cybersecurity hacking education for kids in schools?
The company I was working in was trying to start educating the public. They were a non-profit institution aiming at educating society within SA about it. Yeah. However, no one actually knows they exist, so they haven't really enhanced their presence in SA, number one. Number two, I'd say there's a large amount of lack of communication that you could potentially say is due to COVID and our COVID regimes and change of life, that people are not communicating, they're not sharing information and knowledge. So that's also a potential risk to everybody else, because people are starting to forget how to actually communicate correctly with each other, which means that we're not going to knowledge share, we're not going to collaborate, and we're not going to share information, which puts us all at risk even further in the future as well.
Yeah, I've got another question as well. I mean, with globalization now, people are moving around very easily for work. And so the question is, if I'm traveling around as an employee of a company, how much responsibility should the company have to protect me as I move around the world with the data, with my telephone, because as I said before, when I'm traveling through airports, and I've got the public Wi-Fi domain, I'm entering that space, going into a hotel, I'm entering that space there. And so is it the company's responsibility, or is it our personal responsibility of protecting ourselves and our data?
It's actually a 50-50, and also it depends on the company's internal policies and procedures. So in SA, a large amount of companies have implemented policies and procedures, what we call our POPI Act, which is the Protection of Personal Information Act. Right. That entails certain processes like locking away and storing, or double locking away, double storing, employee personnel files, documentation, sensitive information, user access control to platforms and important information like accounting systems in the cloud. So in saying so, I'd say the company is responsible to ensure that the tools, the software, and the security systems are set in place on the devices that they give you to use to complete the job, right, which is a standard norm labor legislative requirement of employers. The employee then is responsible for his actions and use on that system. So if he goes and clicks on a malicious link or a phishing link and puts in details, there's been a situation a few years ago where a person was fortunately trained at work about phishing attacks, got sent an email with a phishing link in it. Fortunately, because he applied his knowledge and had actually listened in the training session, didn't click on the link. And if he had, it would have caused their water systems in this country to blow up and flood the entire country. So at the end of the day, companies are now instituting policies and procedures where they say, as much as it's our job to keep you safe, it's your job to utilize our training we provide you to apply it to your everyday use of the systems. Because if you click on that malicious link, it's going to be your problem at the end of the day, not the company's, and potentially make you lose your job. Possible crimes opened against you, civil action, you name it. Because at the end of the day, these hackers hack, phish, whatever they do, take the information, cause damage, destroy whatever, and then run away, destroy every bit of evidence that possibly can be used to track them, and it comes down on your shoulders because you were the one who was in between.
So as a victim, if you're a victim of cybersecurity breach or being hacked, is there like a group that you can reach out to? Is there, I mean, I don't want to say Facebook page, but I mean, is there somewhere where people can reach out and maybe comfort each other, also get some information about, being a victim of cybersecurity breach or hacking? Do you know?
There are some guys on Instagram. So my situation was also involved in a bit of targeting over time. So when they finally got access into my devices again in this last year, or rather, should I say my Gmails, and I picked up and realized, so I optimized all my security settings and everything else. But in saying so, they can continue getting access to your systems until you put that in place. And then you need to also make sure that if your systems and your optimization of security is not adequate and they're over encompassing that, you need to also go back and relook at the situation and see possibly, for example, maybe a silly example, Gmail, if you create your Gmail to link to an Outlook compliant program, like Outlook, for example, an email client, if you set up POP settings for your email, it's highly hackable. Whereas if you set up IMAP settings to your email, it's very secure in comparison. But in fact, even now, IMAP and POP, and the reason why Office 365 has gone into the cloud is actually to enhance security and reduce hacking. Because Office 2016 with Outlook 2016, with the password app that you need to create to put that into Gmail and your Outlook in order for the two programs to talk, circ and sync, if that gets hacked via Gmail, they can actually listen into your emails, they can delete emails, things like that, and actually duplicate whatever emails you get, gets duplicated to their email inbox as well, and you won't know about it.
Wow, you've given us so much food for thought. It's a lot to take on. It really is. We're coming to the end of this conversation. Maybe you can just give us two or three bits of information that you want people to take away from this. Just two or three. Because we spoke about so many things. And Samantha, I think someone's like, overwhelmed. They think, my God, I'm going to go and just disconnect from all my devices, disconnect from everything. No credit card, no domotics from my house, no nothing. And I'm just going to go and live in the top of a mountain. But we can't do that because we live here. We live in this society, and we have to live with the technology that we have. We can't just say, I just close our eyes and say, no, this is not for me. We just have to know how to use it. So what are a couple of things that you would say that we could take away before we end this conversation?
I'd say the main takeaway home message is, firstly, don't have fear installed about what I put forward today. Rather understand that it can lead to potentially dangerous situations. Ensure that you connect on platforms that are reliable and real platforms on the normal internet that is safe to use, like IT Guru. You also get information off ChatGPT. You can ask them specific questions on how to enhance security on IT, and it gives you very specific answers on activities, approaches, programs you can use and implement and install. I would say also, if you go home, don't get scared about it, research, and also be aware of symptoms that might take place. That is your best, I'd say, awareness factor to potentially being a victim of this type of crime. And if you identify symptoms like your cell phone Bluetooth is going on by itself, or the camera is working on its cell phone by itself, you never touched it, there's a problem with your cell phone, someone's hacked your device, then you need to see to it. If messages are taking longer than they usually would to transmit from one person to the other, or to receive a bank OTP, it could be a man-in-the-middle attack. It's a symptom. Do not avoid it or ignore it. Place attention, monitor the symptoms thereafter, and if that's the case, do a virus scan, do a malicious scan on your devices. If it picks up maliciousware, it may also miss other stuff like Trojan horses or whatever, depending on the programs and applications you've used. Your maximum best, safest bet is always to wipe your devices completely clean and start again from scratch. If need be, obviously no one wants to go that route because it's all your wasted time, energy, and lost documents and files. And then what I'd also say is, as you go along, definitely on your PC, set up regular back or recovery updates and recovery points. Ensure that your scanners of your security software that's on your PC, like malicious software, ransomware, viruses, Trojan horses, is regularly set to scan, a full scan on your PC. I'd say also make sure that when the latest updates, upgrades, and patches are released for things like your cell phone, your laptop, Office, Windows, make sure you install those updates, because a large amount of those updates involve the latest security patches and updates on the latest sort of security breaches going on in the world. And I'd say also, just as a general norm on the internet and social media platforms, which I think is a very dangerous place in general to start off with, is make sure you know who you're being in contact with. Don't release too much of your own personal sensitive data to anybody on social media platforms unless you know it's viable, you've actually vetted them, and you know they're legitimate. I think
you've given us loads. You've given us loads of information. Thank you very much. You've been like an open book. It's like reading an open book. I hope that anyone watching this and they need your services, need your consultancy, to reach out, because today I've learned so much. I'm a little bit wary now, but I'm also a little bit more aware of how I move on the internet. I think that's very important. I think the communication today, the talk today has been very interesting, and it was bringing light onto cybersecurity and hacking. So Samantha Caplan, thank you very much, and thank you for all the listeners, whoever's listening to this this talk, and reach out to Samantha or to me if you need any, if you have any other questions. Thank you, Samantha.
Great, thank you, Gary, and thank you for your time. And it was a lovely chat that we've had tonight. I'm very impressed, and thank you for your efforts.